Hi everyone, my name is Tori. This is Novel Life. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to my November wrap up. Happy Bookmas, day number 2. So for December leading up to Christmas, I am posting a video every other day. So you'll get 12 videos from me. So 12 days of Bookmas, I guess you could say that. And this is day number 2. I am very excited for all the videos I have planned. But in today's video, I'm going to talk about the 10 books that I read in November. November was a weird reading month for me. So I did read some really good books. Like all of my books were 4 stars or above. I just got into this like mood where I was reading super chunky books and it was taking me like 4 or 5 days to finish a chunky book. And I'm not mad about that because I found an all-time favorite book and I'm so excited to chat about these 10 books. Like I said, I had all like 4, 4.5, 5-star reads. So my average rating was a 4.2. I read 5,188 pages, which is a little on the low side, but I'm not mad about that. Like if I get 5,000 pages read in a month, I am so good. Like that's a win in my book. I had 9 audiobooks and then I had 1 ebook that I'm going to talk about. For a breakdown of a star rating, I had 2 5-star reads. I had 1 4.5 star, 6 4 stars, and 1 3.5 star read. I had 3 romances, 2 historical fiction books, and 5 romantasy. So let's go ahead and dive right in. The first book I read was Quicksilver by Callie Hart. This was a reread for me, and I vlogged this because I was just vlogging what I was reading that week, and I honestly cannot believe that I did not remember anything in this book. I read it literally a year ago in October of last year, and I gave it 4.5 stars, but I started rereading this at the beginning of November, and I was like, this is not what I was expecting. I thought I was thinking of a completely other book. I reread this in preparation for Brimstone, which I will be talking about, but upon reread, I still gave it 4.5 stars. I had a really good time with this. I really enjoy Kingfisher. I really enjoy Saris. I really enjoy her story. I love the journey that we go on in this book. I think that it is just like a really good fast-paced fantasy romance with a really good world. It kind of like slowly amps up for all the information that you need with the world, the magic, all of that stuff. So it doesn't feel super info dumpy at the beginning of this book, which I really loved. So yeah, really happy I reread this, gave it 4.5 stars. In preparation for Brimstone. The next book I read was a small town romance, and it's Against All Odds by Corinne Michaels. So this is the 3rd book in the Ember Falls series. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't particularly like this one as much as I was hoping. So I read the 2nd book last month, I think in October. Yeah, it was like one of my last books in October. Loved that book. So I was really hoping for a really good romance in this one. And I really felt like this one just fell short a little bit for me. I don't know what it was. It was just like too easy. I love angsty romances and I felt like they just like fell back in love again. Like it's kind of like a second chance romance. She broke up with her ex. Well, she got divorced from her ex-husband after she finds him cheating. She goes back to the small town of Ember Falls and she meets the guy that she kind of had a thing with when she was younger. And it was just super easy. They're like neighbors again. It was easy. It was cute. It was adorable. 3.5 stars. It's really all I have to say about that one. I wish I had more to say because I loved book 2 the most. Like it was so good. And I still will continue on with the series. I think the last book actually comes out in January, which I'm so excited for. But I'm still making my way through the series. The next book I read was Halflight Harbor by Samantha Young. This is the first in her Scottish Isles series. I would love to jump on the first book of a new series by her. I ended up giving this 4 stars. I felt like this had a lot of suspense. I don't mind suspense in my romance books, like I'm not mad about it, but this one had a lot in it, especially at the end. And I was told that. A friend told me, hey, just so you know, this has a lot of suspense in it. I'm not sure how you're going to feel about it. Just know that going in. But I still like their romance. I actually think that Samantha Young did a really good job balancing the romantic suspense part with the romance and like it still being an emotional book. Like he's super broody. He doesn't want anyone on his island. He doesn't want anyone in his space. And she's like, no, I'm still going to explore. I'm going to come on your island. She gets lost at one point. He like does all these things like reluctantly because she like puts herself in certain situations and it's kind of dangerous. And he's like, I have to go save her again. But he like low key enjoys it, if that makes sense. Like he loves having someone to take care of, if that makes sense. So I did enjoy this romance. I did give it 4 stars. Cannot wait to see I think the next book comes out in January as well. I'm not mistaken. I did read My Dark Ever After by Gianna Darling. I actually had this as an e-arc and I wanted to read it, but Gianna sent me a physical copy of this book. This is the second book in a duet by her. The first book is My Dark Fairy Tale. So this is My Dark Ever After. It's a conclusion. I ended up giving this 4 stars. Upon like thinking about my thoughts on this, it's more of like a 3.5, 4 star. I love Gianna Darling's writing. I think she writes beautifully, but for me, when she writes a mafia romance, I always compare it to the Anti-Heroes in Love duet, which is also by her. One of my all-time favorite duets. I love it so much. I love our hero. I love our heroine. And that one, our heroine's like an ice queen, right? So she's the complete opposite of the heroine in this duology. And not that that's like a bad thing, but she's like quiet, reserved. She's a little naive with the whole mafia world and stuff like that. He's still a mafia guy. He's still morally gray, and I love that. But I love the female characters that have like a little more oomph to them. But I did like the chronic illness rep in this book. I love how our hero takes care of her. So if you're looking for that, it is read and listen on KU, so you can get the audiobook through Kindle Unlimited if you have that subscription as well. Now it's time to dive into all my romantasy and historical fiction books that I read in the last half of November. So I got all my romances out of the way at the beginning, and then I picked up this chunker of a book, which is so excited to talk about this. Okay, Dawn of Chaos and Fury by Melissa K. Rourke. I feel like I can go on and on and on about this book in this series. This is the 4th book in the Legacy series. I read books 2 and 3 earlier this year in the Legacy series, and I loved them. They were both 5 stars. I loved the characters. I loved the world. I loved everything, okay? So when I was able to get not only an e-arc, I got this physical arc from Kensington Books because she did get picked up with a publisher and they did such an amazing job with the campaign. But I was so excited to read this. I took about 4 days to read this book, and let me tell you, my life was just consumed by this book. So I can't really say what happens in this book in particular. I will say it's an epic conclusion to this series. I love it so much. I think that Melissa K. Rourke did such an amazing job with this whole series. I did give book 1 4.5 stars when I read it because I was like, where's this series going? Now, if I were to go back and reread that book, the first book, which I do definitely want to reread this series, I feel like I would give it 5 stars because I have a deeper appreciation for the characters, what they're doing, like a better understanding of them, if that makes sense. I just loved all of it. If you love Throne of Glass, which is by Sarah J. Maas, that is like an OG romantasy series, like young adult. This is a dark romantasy series, but if you love like the cast of characters in Throne of Glass, you love the found family aspect, you just love all the characters' stories, this series is for you. You follow multiple POVs in the later books in this series, and I love every single one of them. I cannot sing more praises about this series than like just go read it. I just think it's amazing. Like I said, it's on the darker side if you love like a dark romantasy, but the world building is fantastic. The magic system is so interesting. The thought that Melissa K. Rourke puts into this series from like book 1, and then you see everything how it plays out in this book. I love it. If I didn't say I gave this book 5 stars. Favorite book of the month. One of my favorite books of the year. This whole series is going to be a favorite of mine. So like if you haven't read the Legacy series, please go read it. Yes, it's a chunker. Like the physical book's like over 700 pages, but I think like the ebook's like 900 and something pages. Don't let that deter you. Please go read the series. I love it so much. So then I did read my Leave It to the Pros book club pick for November. Me and my friend Christy from Christy Reads a Lot, we run a historical fiction book club where every single month we read a historical fiction book. And we chose The Diamond Eye by Kate Quinn. So this is our 3rd Kate Quinn book, if I'm not mistaken, and I actually enjoyed this. I was one of the like few people that did enjoy this. Some people in our live show kind of like DNF'd it, didn't like it. Christy didn't like it as much, but I actually enjoyed this. I thought it was interesting where we followed this woman sniper who is technically from what is now considered Ukraine, but back in World War II, it was the Soviet Union still, and I just found it interesting how we follow her story of like the nitty gritty of her being basically the only woman sniper who has I think a kill count of like over 200 or over 300 by the end of the book, if I'm not mistaken. And you just see kind of like the things that she deals with as a woman in, well, specifically the Soviet Union and in their like military. I just thought it was such an interesting book, and I listened to the audiobook and I had a really good time with it. I ended up giving it 4 stars. It's one of my favorite Kate Quinn books. I read the Briar Club, which is my favorite, my top book. Then we read The Rose Code, which I personally did not like that one. I gave it 3.5 stars. 4 stars, but it's not my favorite. And then I read this one, which I did give 4 stars. Now, because I was in such a Kate Quinn mood, I decided to pick up a novella by her because Christy was actually talking about this in our live show. It's called Signal Moon. This is like a 57-page novella. It's available to read and listen on Kindle Unlimited, which I always love that. And I feel like this was very interesting, and I don't know if it goes from the Rose Code, like if we see our female character in that book or not, but it basically is one of the like women who kind of like broke code or like listened into different radios and see if they could like pick up the frequency of like a different military, like the Germans or something like that in World War II, which I found interesting. But there's an 80-year age gap and between our hero and our heroine. Now it's like a little sci-fi-y. I don't really know how to describe it. It's a little sci-fi-y. I don't know how to describe it. It's sci-fi-y in the way that she can like pick up a frequency of someone that is in 2023, which I find so interesting. So like he's in the military in 2023 in the US, and she's going through World War II in Britain. She's going through World War II in Britain. So it's like kind of like trying to figure out like, you know, what's going on. She asks him at one point, like, do we win? What's happening? Like everything's up in the air and stuff like that. So I just thought it was a great novella. I had a good time with it. I gave it 4 stars. Now, the next book I read was Brimstone by Callie Hart. I did pick this book up after my historical fiction, and I feel not conflicted about this book. I ended up giving it 4 stars. Do I think that it's better than Quicksilver? I personally do not. There were times where I was really, really intrigued, and I was like, I love this. I love Kingfisher. I love Saris. I love what they're doing. I love Carrion. Like, there were so many things I did love, but there were some times where I did feel bored. And I don't know if that's like a pacing thing, if she meant to do that. It was like everything happening all at once. And then there were parts where there were some things where there was like nothing really happening at all. So like the slower parts were made up by those fast-paced parts. I just wish that she would have kind of like spread everything out so it wasn't like super action-packed, everything all the time at moments and then nothing at the others. I do love these cast of characters. I'm really excited. That last line of this book really got me. I was like, I don't know where she's going with this book. Like, how can she make it just like more? Like, we're getting to the end of the book. I'm like, I don't really understand like what's going on. And I read that last line on the audiobook, and I was like, that's it? That's it? That's How can you just drop that and leave? Like, come on. What is happening? So I cannot wait for the next book. I don't know what that's going to be. I don't know when it's going to come out. I did have a really good time with this. If you can listen to the audiobooks of these, I highly suggest that. I love the kind of like duet narration. I love the narrators that she has. The book I gave 4 stars just because they had some plot pacing issues, but it wasn't like a detriment to my reading. I still really enjoyed it. And then I kind of fell into a reading slump, which is not the best time, if that makes sense. I went through like 5 books where I like picked up 5 different books from 5 different genres, and nothing was hitting. I just picked up different books and nothing was hitting. So I decided to do a reread of A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. So I did listen to the audiobook of this one. Usually I annotate when I read, especially reread for the first time. But I decided not to annotate this one because I just wanted to listen to the audiobook, and I just wanted something to like keep my attention while I was working, while I was doing chores, while I was cooking, all of those things. And I read the first 3 books and the novella last year in December. I like reread them and annotated them, and I had the best time. And I told myself that I wanted to read this sometime in 2025. So yes, it wasn't December. It might have been November, but I still read it in 2025. So I love Nesta. I think that to some people, she's hated, but to me, she is beloved, and I love her so much. I think her story is something that a lot of women can maybe relate to, especially when you go through like periods where you're feeling down or like things are happening in your life and you're not sure what's going on, and you don't know where you're going, and you're kind of like looking for things to maybe like get you out of that rut, if that makes sense, or like that low point in your life. I just really loved it. I really find comfort in Nesta's story. I really love seeing how she gets like to the end of everything, and I was tearing up at certain points in this book, especially towards the end, because I forgot what happens. I mean, like, I remembered what happened, but like I forgot everything that surrounds it. Yeah, I was just very emotional when I was reading this book, and I love it. So this was a chunker, but I did listen to this one. It took me like 4 days, 5 days to read that one as well. And then I ended November with Hollow by the Twisted Sisters, Caroline Peckham, Suzanne Valenti. Now this is kind of out there for me because I wanted to read Neverkeep earlier this year, last year. I even have the audiobook, okay? And I realized it was like 800 pages, like 700 pages, because I think Echo Fort is out in the last book, or third book is coming out sometime in 2026. And I just wanted to read it. I read Zodiac Academy by this author duo, and I enjoyed most of the books. I did DNF it at like the book 7, because it just got so out of hand. I'm like, these are so chunky. I don't really know what's happening. I don't know if the payoff's going to be worth it, but I had a good time with the books that I read. So I definitely want to read more by these authors. And this one surprised me, okay? This is a romantasy, but the romance really kicks in later in the book. This is really like centered around this cursed forest. It's a fantasy-esque where the cursed forest has, I don't want to call it like a sentient power, but basically it's like taking over where the humans live. And so you have like the humans that they're fighting this cursed forest. You have the Fae people who built a wall on the other side of the forest, so it's not gonna like go near them. And then you have this like necromancer that is like creating what they call hollows, which I think are just like zombie people. They just like go after humans to eat them and whatever. So it's very interesting. A little horror aspects, especially towards the beginning. There's a lot of dying at the beginning of this book. Not that I minded that, but there was just a lot of dying. And I was thoroughly surprised by how much I love this. The audiobook's so good. Duet narration. I've listened to these narrators before. It's a husband and wife duo. I can't think of the name, but they've done a lot of Twisted Sisters audiobooks, and I just love the duet narration. There was a lot of plot twist I did not see coming. Like, I expected something, because obviously they're called the Twisted Sisters for a reason. I really enjoyed this book. I had the best time listening to the audiobook. I don't want to say too much, because like the story is really centered around our female character, and she's going through a lot of things when she enters the forest. And she's like trying to figure things out, but the whole premise is every 50 years, a group of human champions, they train from like a really young age to go into the forest to gather all of the 13 spirits. And the spirits could be like, there's a dragon, there's a unicorn, there's a fox, there's, you know, all these different animals basically. And when you kill them, you kind of have this amulet that has their power. And the person or human who has the most amulets, so like if, you know, you have 4 people, each of them have 2 or 3, whoever has 3 or 4, whoever has the most gets what they call the boon. Basically, it is like I would consider her like Mother Earth, basically the person who rules the forest or is like over the forest. She comes and grants you a wish. Okay, I don't want to say grants a wish because that sounds really weird, but she will favor you in some type of way, right? You can ask for really anything. And I just thought that was interesting. So basically all these champions enter. She is not a champion, I will say that, and she enters for a reason, which is part of her story. And she is going around and she realizes that all of her people that she entered with are now dead. Like I said, there's a lot of death. And then she meets this guy, his name is Hendrix, and he's a Fae. And she's like, I don't like Fae. Like, Fae have just let the humans to basically die and not help us. And it's very much enemies to lovers. They banter, they really hate each other. And they're like reluctant allies. They're like forced to work together for reasons. Hence trying to get all the amulets. He has his reasons, she has hers. And it's just a very interesting like turn of events the last like 30% of the book that I was not expecting. So that one was a really good time for me. I had a really good time with it, 4 stars. But those were the 10 books that I read in November. It was a very interesting reading month. Like, I did get slumpy, but I DNF'd a lot of books, so I was able to kind of like pull myself out of it relatively quickly. And I still had some really good reads for November. I did have a December TBR, and then I had a holiday TBR. I really just mood read in December, and then I read holiday books. So that is what my December reading is going to look like. I will be posting a vlog every single week over on my Patreon just to like celebrate Vlogmas in my own way. And I will be posting every other day in December for a Bookmas video. So if you made it this far and you want to let me know, leave me a blue heart emoji for Hollow, because that was a very interesting book. But thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe for more content from me. As always, I hope you're living a novel life, and I will see you in my next one. Bye, guys.